Hello, my name is Trent Smith, and I'm our Director of Campus Operations at Yes Prep North Forest. I'm very excited and honored to have this little opportunity to be able to share some onboarding information with you about operations at Yes Prep North Forest, how you will play your part in our campus operations, and how ultimately you are going to be an owner and a leader of operations at Yes Prep North Forest. When I think about operations, I think about an orchestra. In an orchestra, we know that there is a large group of performers. All the performers are playing different instruments. Within some parts of the orchestra, there are subsets of instruments. We know that each performer also has different sheets of music in front of them. We also know that at some point, some performers will be resting. At some points, some will be playing more loudly. At some points, people will have solos. At some points, um, it is a feature of a specific set of the orchestra. However, we know that between all of these differences, just like us as counselors, teachers, administrators, among all these differences in our role and in the way we perform, in the orchestra, they're all working towards one common goal, and that is to create an amazing piece of music. And so, in terms of operations, it is the exact same way at the campus level. We, as performers, need to play our part in the orchestra of operations in order to achieve the amazing growth that we want for our students. And we know that in orchestra, when a performer is not listening to the other performers, or when a performer is not reading their sheet of music, that is when tension is created in the orchestra. Just as if we are not following proper policies and procedures as staff members, that is when tension and miscommunication happens in our school. And so we really want to make sure that as performers in this orchestra of operations, we are all playing our part, and we're going to talk about that today in our onboarding. So I want to say welcome to the band. You are now a performer in this orchestra, and you now are going to help us to play our part in moving 5% of our kids from not college ready to college ready, which is an academics goal that you will be learning more about. So your onboarding begins now, and it's going to continue through the summer, through teaching excellence, and through in-service, and throughout the first semester in professional developments, as you are learning to be the best legend and staff member that you can be, and also how you are going to own operations this year. So I want to say that we are so excited to have you as another performer in our orchestra of operations. And once again, to introduce myself, my name is Trent Smith, and I am our Director of Campus Operations. And we'll talk a little bit more about what are campus operations. I'm sure most of us didn't attend a school that had someone in charge of operations, and I'm very excited to share with you why Yes Prep is so special to have a role like this. First, I want to start with our theory of change in operations. I truly believe that operations is a change agent on campus, and we're going to go over how that change happens. So, first, it happens with this mindset that we have already talked about. As performers in this orchestra of operations, we must all play our part. That means, in terms of policies and procedures and operational knowledge, we must be the holders of all of that information and the executors. None of us can opt out, because that is where that communication starts, and that is miscommunication starts, and that is where we become weak. When we all play our part in operations, we are all giving input and feedback and executing together, which means that we can create effective and responsive systems. When we have effective and responsive systems, we have more organization on campus. And when we have more organization, that means that each of us can come to work every single day ready to do what we do best, to be the best teacher, to be the best counselor, to be the best administrator. And finally, when each of us comes to work every single day, all 75 of us coming to work every single day ready to do what we do best, that's how we move our 5% of kids from not college ready to college ready. And we are continually moving kids every single year to college ready. We are unleashing the potential of the North Forest community and really bringing more justice to this community. And if at the end of the day you still are not interested in making a community more just, which I might ask, then why are you here? I do want to also inform you of another amazing part about operations. And when we have strong operations, because we are all playing our part in the orchestra of operations, we begin to enter this land that seems like a fantasy land, but is a land in which we have more time. And time is the thing that at Yes Prep North Forest and at Yes Prep in general, we can not get enough of. And so when we have tight systems, we are all executing on the systems, we are all playing our part. We come to work doing what we do best every single day. We are more efficient, more effective, and we have more time and capacity, which is an exciting place where we want to bring ourselves. And this can be difficult. And I want to be very clear on the front end that as a staff member, you have many competing priorities. There are personal things going on in your life. You want to make sure that you are keeping tight contact with all your parents, especially those students who are in need and students who can be celebrated. You'll be hosting after school tutorials, during the day tutorials when big tests are coming up. You'll be preparing for your observations with your deans of instruction, observations with your teaching excellence coaches. And you'll also be doing a lot of data analysis in terms of how your kids perform on exit tickets, unit assessments, common assessments. And you'll also be in charge of your student management, making sure that you're promoting the most positive climate you can in your classroom. And a lot of these things can sometimes feel like they are stealing time away from operations. And the mindset that we are building is that when you do operations right, you actually have more time for these competing priorities. To give you a little more context around operations on campus and what we are really in charge of and what we all play our part in, we have these 4 buckets. It starts with facilities management, safety, and security, making sure that if you notice that work needs to be done on our facilities, that you are requesting that work, so that way you have the best looking classroom possible, and also knowing that we have a very old building, and it is important that we are in the loop constantly, because the operations team is not visiting every classroom every week. And we want to leverage our district facility support as much as possible. Also, that we are a safe and secure campus in terms of running drills, in terms of educating our students on drills, and holding them accountable to how we expect them to perform during drills, and making sure that us as a staff, we are very vigilant and cautious to make a secure campus. Our operations team is also in charge of stakeholder management, so that includes parents. We also operate the front office, so we are the front door to the community. But that also in turn includes vendors like our transportation and food service and substitute teacher vendors. We're also in charge of data integrity and compliance. The data that you collect as teachers, we then collect and verify as an operations team because it gets reported to the state. This data gets reported to the state because it's where our funding comes from. And so it is important that we have accurate data in terms of student records and demographics and grades and attendance in order to receive the most money possible so we can put the most money into our classrooms as possible. We need to be audit ready at all times as a campus and as owners of operations. Is also in terms of data, the operations team also works on scheduling, and that is a huge piece of student data, making sure that they all have accurate schedules. And finally, we're also responsible for fiscal responsibility and procurement. As we know, public organizations like schools have limited budgets, and so the operations team needs your help to make sure that we are squeezing as much money out of our budget as possible and putting it into the classrooms as much as possible. So that means being responsible. And that also means the operations team, we are responsible for helping you with procurement and making sure that the things that you do need to make your classroom effective and efficient and push learning forward, that we are helping you to procure in the most effective way possible. So really thinking about the operations team, we are in charge of pretty much everything that is not directly related to instruction in your classroom, and we are there to make sure that the campus is running efficiently and effectively in the short term every single day, but also in the long term for years to come. And we have these expectations, and we know that you will be a performer in helping us meet these expectations and goals. And we have some resources, technological, human resources, and some shared norms to help make this happen. So the first resource that we have is that on Office 365, which you will get access to when you receive your Yes Prep laptop at Onboarding, is we have an operations website. And this website has all your basic needs as a teacher. First, and most excitingly, you can check the status of copiers and printers from the convenience of the website. Printers are very complex machines and they break as well. And so this is an opportunity for you to be able to check from the convenience of your classroom the status of any of our copiers. And if anything is wrong with the copiers, we'll show you how you can report that to the operations team to get it fixed as quickly as possible and get us, once again, more efficient time. So also you can place ops requests through the website. So that could be supply requests, things that you need in your classroom, in your office, to be an effective staff member. You can request those through here and we'll begin to fulfill those requests. Also work, so facilities work, something that's broken in your classroom that needs fixed, you can request through here as well. And these all get processed to our certain operations team partners, whether that's our facilities engineer, whether that's our custodial services, or someone in our district office. Once again, to get your operational request to meet your needs so you can be the best at what you do every single day. There's also finance support. If there are things that you do purchase for your own classroom, we will reimburse those under certain circumstances, which you'll receive more information about. And also, I'm very excited that this year we launched an app for operations at Yes Prep North Forest. The YPNF Ops app is something that you'll gain access to as a staff member. And it is really, if we think about ourselves as an orchestra of operations and all, we have our instruments that help us perform. The Ops app is one of those instruments that you have in your hand to help you be a high performer and an operational leader on campus. Through the app, you can place ops requests, you can check the status of copiers, you can request a leave, you can put in requests for technology support. We also have resources like our bell schedules, resources for how to run drills, in terms of communication norms, if you want access to our social media, and also the lottery to sign up kids who are interested in attending our school the following year. So once again, you can see here on the app, you can request a leave in advance. There's information about payroll in there. And then there's also requests in terms of urgent requests. You can call the front desk. You can request field trips, put in requests for those supplies, anything urgent like your classroom is very hot or a copier goes down. There's a way to put in those urgent requests, and then work requests like we talked about in your classroom. So really, this app puts the tools of operations in your hand and really brings it down to your level so you can be an effective owner in our orchestra of operations. Also, technology is something we highly leverage at Yes Prep, and it is something that we need to continue to put support behind. And on the operations website, you'll see how you can request to use our laptop carts in your class, how to install printers, and ultimately help desk at yesprep.org is the email that goes to our district technology support, and they will help you troubleshoot throughout your technology issues at that email address. Also, we have communication norms, which again support us to work together to play at the same tempo and to really make sure that we're all working on that same piece of music together and cutting out inefficiencies. In terms of communication norms, make sure that you're always signed to Link, which is Skype for Business on your computer. That's the instant messenger app that we use to communicate quickly and effectively. You'll also notice that in emails we use tags, action required, response requested, and you should use those tags as well in your emails to make sure that staff members know the type of urgency that they should give to your email and the type of response they should be prepared to give. We also have an all Yes Prep North Forest email listserv, and that email is about 100 people. And so in that case, it is not an email listserv that you should be using without administrative approval. We have an expectation of a 24-hour business turnaround on emails. We know a lot can happen during a school day, and so we want to have this tight communication loop. Also, there's the no scroll rule. That means if you are typing an email and you need to scroll down on your computer to read the email, it's probably too long, and you should request to meet that person in person and have that meeting just to make sure, once again, that communication loop is tight. Also, you'll be receiving a lot of calendar invites in Outlook. These are invites for meetings and observations with your deans of instruction, with your TE coaches. If you cannot attend one of those invites meetings that they send you, please make sure when you decline that you edit it with a response, and in that response you are suggesting other times to meet. Once again, this helps to tighten the communication loop and make sure that if you cannot meet on that one day at that one time, that choosing another time happens very quickly. And finally, we have La Leyenda, which is our school staff newsletter, and that goes out every weekend, and you want to make sure you have read that before school every Monday morning to make sure that you have an update on all the happenings that are going on campus. And so also I like to think about communication in terms of a hierarchy and a pyramid, and we want to be living our lives at the bottom of this pyramid, meaning that we can communicate through emails because we have time for a 24-hour turnaround. If you do not have time for a 24-hour turnaround with your response or request, you'll want to use Link, our Skype for Business, and link the person. If that is still not getting you the request that you need in the time you need, you can text or group me that person. Some grade levels use group me. And finally, if the request is urgent, you'll want to call call that person. And as we think about this hierarchy, obviously we will be communicating at all levels, but we want to make sure that we are living 90% of our life at that bottom level, uh, and really having 24 hours of planning and notice for ourselves and for others. And along with this technological support that we offer uh, at Yes Prep and operations, along with our shared norms that we have to make us a strong operations team, a strong um, orchestra of operations, we also have human support. So we have three wonderful staff members as well who are full time on the operations team. On the left is Maria Carlos. She's our receptionist and operations extraordinaire. Once again, she is really our face, and our communicator to the outside as she works in the front office. She's also excellent at helping to problem solve operationally, and also in terms of developing systems to make sure that your jobs are more effective. Miss Henderson, Shaika in the middle there, is our registrar. So she is in charge of our data integrity and our compliance that we talked about, making sure that transcripts that we send our students off to college with are 100% accurate, making sure that the data that we roll up every 6 weeks and every semester and every year to the state is 100% accurate. So that way that the funding that we receive is as much as possible in terms of our data, and that we are audit ready. And then on the right is Rosie Pies, and Rosie Pies is our attendance clerk. And she is really the leader in making sure that we are all working and playing our part to achieve our attendance goal of 98% attendance or higher for our kids every single day. And then Rosie is also processing our attendance data every single period, because you'll be expected to submit classroom attendance in the first 15 minutes of every single class, so we can keep tabs on our students and begin finding out if any kids are skipping, where we need to call home, where we need to visit home, to find out what is happening with our students, and making sure that their credits are calculating accurately as well based on the classes that they are appropriately attending. And so we are all here as a core operations team to support you in doing your job most effectively and making sure that our systems are responsive and effective. And once again, with all this support, it all starts with the beginning that we are all performers in the orchestra of operations, and that operation is something we are all responsible for, that in that we cannot do it alone. And so I want to close with this quote and say that you can't play a symphony alone. It takes an orchestra to play it. And you guys are now a part of that orchestra, and we are happy to have you on staff, so that way we can perform the symphony together. And that symphony is growing our kids and getting them on track to college. So, welcome to the forest.